music can only mean one thing. And here we are again. I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War and co-host of Music and Mayhem. It is Monday, the 24th.
Fourth.
Well, I got it right. It's Monday the 24th. And I was able to sneak in doing my little live switch thing stuff in here to share this. So we are good there. I actually got it done in time. But welcome to another Monday, My Fight Our War. We've got a great guest coming on here shortly. Donald Blow, who has been, you guys have been seeing all of his comments and everything like that. Nicole, you found us. She said she was going to try, and
That's
she
right.
did
Ellen,
it.
Brad Peterson. All right.
So thank you guys. And OG actually tried to really screw shit up here because she's like, "Excuse me, guys, it's 7:00." We're like, and
The show.
we still got 5 minutes of talking to do here. So no, without waiting here, let's pop OG on. There's the one. She's been yelling at me. Now getting a little close up. Bam!
Oh, whoa.
But we do, like I said, have Donald coming on here, and we've been chit chatting in the green room, and he's just a great guy, man. And he got a bit of, I tell you what, we get a little background and hearing about his story and his family. He's got a few siblings, and we'll be talking about that as well. But anyways, I hope you guys had a great weekend, and we've got a lot going on this week. Obviously, tonight with Donald Blow. We've got tomorrow night, we are doing a special edition as well with Jim Downs from Rock House Ministries and Project 300. And Project 300 will be on with us tomorrow at 7:00 ish. So it's going to be a heck of a week. And of course, Wednesday, Music and Mayhem with my brother, Skylar Ray. And then Friday, we're off to New York and then to Connecticut to our studio there to do some shows. So without further ado, OG, we'll see you.
I'll be busy.
And Donald is in the house.
All right.
Donald Blow, how are you, sir?
Good, you?
I tell you what, I switched a different format here. It looks perfect now with the camera, so it looks great.
Great.
Anyways, I was just telling people about you and all the love that this family gets, and especially from all of the comments and everything. And we definitely noticed a lot of it coming from you. So thank you for your support with My Fight Our War.
No, I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Oh, without a doubt. And we just with we were talking, and you can tell he's got a slight bit of an accent from where he's from. And as soon as we started talking, I was like, "Oh, you remind me of this very scary ass movie." Not because of you, but because of the location. But it was really neat chit chatting, and we're gonna talk about that as well. But first of all, I got to know a little bit about you. Why don't you let everyone else know, first of all, who you are, where you're from?
My name's Donald Blow, and I live in South Portland, Maine. I'm a big recovery advocate up here in Maine.
Yeah, I tell you, you're on a board. What's the name of it?
It's called Recover Together. You can check us out on Facebook. There's probably I know there's at least 5,000 members. There's probably more than that now, but I don't know the exact count. But
that's great, man. How long have you been? How long has that been going on?
I think I've been on the board since pretty much day one. I think it's been 5 years.
Yeah, congratulations. And so you said you're in Maine, and one thing that you were telling us off camera, we were talking about addiction and how rampant and of course the recovery and all that, and you were saying how sometimes you hear the opposite of what you said, of how the recovery community isn't that relevant, and you said it was just the opposite, that it's really increased there. There's a lot of recovery, different organizations, and why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Maine actually has numerous recovery paths. There's a place called Milestone Recovery, which is like a detox that's in Portland, Maine. That is free for anybody. All you have to do is call and be willing to go in and do the time and put in the work. And there's another one in Bangor. It's called Wellspring, and that is also free.
Mm.
Like I said, you just have to put in the time and the effort. And Maine is trying to get more funding for more detox beds because there's really not enough detox beds in Maine. I think there's 3 detoxes in the whole state of Maine.
Man, but that's something. It's good to hear that where you're at, they're being proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've had a lot of different people on the shows and on the show, and uh, it's kind of upsetting to different areas, different states, different cities that the helps it's so scarce that you got so many people who are looking for help, and one of the things they run into is the first thing that they're asked, what kind of insurance do you have? Do you have insurance? And
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're sorry. So you get a lot of doors shut. So it's good to hear that these doors are being opened. So, congratulate you for that, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wanna there's a friend of mine has, it's called Access Recovery Direct.
Hmm.
So what they do is say you wanna go to detox, but you don't feel comfortable calling or talking to someone, you can call them and they got all the contact information. They call the place, they set it up, sober houses, rehabs, they put in the work and do the work for you. So
So
it's
they get all the paperwork, the red tape, and then that's awesome because as we
yeah,
know, man, taking that first step is often the hardest.
yeah,
And the last thing you want to do is throw obstacles in front of people's way, and that seems to be what happens, unfortunately. So for them to do that, man,
That's great.
that's huge. That's great.
yeah, yeah. And they're you can call them 24/7. They'll pick up the phone. It's not like an answering machine or like a teleprompter or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Ryan Ryan will pick up the phone, or his wife Cynthia will pick up the phone and take your information, and even if
See,
it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
God bless them, man. I mean, it just goes to show, when you get into the true recovery world, just how truly amazing the people are. I mean, just out there, helping. And I've said it so many times to our guests, including you. Oh, hold on a minute.
We got a question for you, Donald. Brandon wants to know, has Maine got the new synthetic drug called ISO? We have it here in Idaho, and it's a bad thing. It's very strong. Have you heard of it, and do you have it there?
I haven't heard of that, but I've heard of um trialazine, I think it's called. It's like a horse tranquilizer that they're
Yeah.
mixing. I guess it Narcan or no kind of like Narcan or anything like that will touch it.
Oh,
See, and that's just it, man. There's, you know, when it comes to dealing with drugs and addiction and all that, it's just like a never-ending battle. I mean, you've got the stuff, and it sounds funny when you say, "Well, it's a horse tranquilizer." People are like, "Well, how?" It doesn't matter. The stuff that's
it looks like that might be it because Brandon Hughes just said same thing, so maybe that is it.
that could be, and the thing is, man, there's so much stuff going on out there, and as we know, the only way to prevent it is not to do it.
Mm.
And but as we know too, a lot of people who don't understand addiction and alcoholism and mental health issues, the worst thing you can say to someone is, "Well, just stop." And who they people don't realize the impact that addiction and the control it has over us. And I had a lady say that to me one time when I first started my fight of war. Well, Mandy, all you got to do is just stop. I'm like, oh, well, shit. Thank you. Hey, everybody.
Just stop.
Breaking news, just stop. But But seriously, man, really definitely appreciate everything you're doing with your organization. Um, we were talking too, man. You've got quite the family, man. How many brothers and sisters?
It's either 13 or 14. I gotta. It takes me a little bit to think
Yeah,
of all their names, but I could come up with them all.
hey, you know, I mean,
That's good.
I think. Uh, oh well, God bless you, man. And we're definitely going to. We were talking about you being on the board and the stuff you do, and an event that you do every year in March. Obviously I can't schedule things, so we'll run it through OG, and if we can make it happen, we'd love to be there for your event in March. So
Yeah,
we'll work on it.
Maybe we could just do something here. But so tell us about that thing in March, sis, because people don't know about it
Yeah,
necessarily.
let us know about the event that you do.
okay. So what it is it was meant to start as like for people that we lost to overdose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was meant like they release a black balloon
Mm-hmm.
for like someone that died in overdose.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't release balloons because obviously it's bad for the planet. But um, one year we actually tied like a 20-foot extra cord on the balloons. The year we were outside,
Mm-hmm.
and we just let them go up into the air a little bit so that someone can have a little remembrance of their family member.
That's nice.
Um, so that's what the balloon festival is all about. Um, we've gone from the first year was outside. It was in March, which in Maine it's
Cold.
pretty cold. Like today, it's snowing out, so and it's probably 25 degrees out. Um, we were flipping burgers on a little dinky grill with plastic silverware. We were trying to flip the burgers, and it wasn't working very good. So we haven't had food since then. But um, now we have so many people that come and they sponsor, and um, the the president Randy Beard, he does so much in the community. He runs. He's like the head of sober houses, and like I said, Maine has so much recovery.
Man.
It's not even funny. You can go to a town and there'll be a recovery place in that town. So that's how big it is up here in Maine.
That's
And
great.
now we're finally getting politicians on board to
Mhm.
do something about it.
Well, God bless you for keeping the word out there and opening the doors and actually doing something and not just talking about. So that's a lot for
Mm-hmm.
you and all your friends and all the people on the board. So congratulations on all that. But obviously, there's a story here, or else you wouldn't be here for you and how your life went. So obviously, with My Fight Our War and all of our stories and our testimonials and all that is how our lives were affected by addiction. So how exactly did this unfortunate event of addiction find its way into your life?
I would say, I mean, my childhood, like I said, we had so many kids and um we lived in a single wide trailer.
Oh my goodness.
Um
All those people in it.
well, I mean, not all of them were living there. Some were
Sure.
grown up that are older than me, and some moved out, and
Mhm.
we probably had 5 or 6 of us kids there at one time,
Mhm.
7.
Oh,
Um, sharing bedrooms. I mean, we only had 3-bedroom trailer.
wow.
So,
Wow.
um, I mean, we grew up in a small town called Shapley. There was no cable TV. Um, we did have telephone though. But this was back in the 80s, and I would say the population was probably, I don't know, 3,000. of this little town.
Hmm.
Um, my father, as far as I know, was always like a big drinker, and he would drink, but he would like take care of us kids because my mother was always like she would work nights, so every time he would get us off to school, and every time we come home he would get us off the bus. So um even though he was drinking, um but he drank like my whole life. um it was probably like, I would say, around 18 when he passed away of cancer.
Mm.
And he was probably like, even though he was a drinker, he was probably like my number one fan. Um, he always took us camping, took us to like fairs, and he always made sure we had like, even though we were poor, um, he would always make sure like we would have a good time on the weekend.
Hmm.
That's
Um,
awesome, man. So even though there was drinking involved, he took care of you guys. So he was functioning
yeah,
alcohol or alcoholic. So well, that's
yeah,
awesome.
and I mean, we were. I remember like the sheriff would. We were that poor that the sheriff
Hmm.
would bring us dead roadkill deer so we would have something to eat. Like
Mm.
the town sheriff,
Hmm.
he would bring it in the trunk of his car
Hey,
over to our house.
God bless people, for helping.
Yeah, yeah. So he ended up having cancer, and I mean, he kind of introduced me to drinking a little bit. Like, I would he stayed at a camper at my sister's because him and my mother separated when I would probably say 12 or 13. Um, him and my mother got in a disagreement, and he decided he was going to pull the shotgun out and take a few shots at my mother.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he ended up in jail. So my mother ended up taking us three younger kids, and we ended up like, some nights we would sleep in the car on a back road, three, four of us in the car, just a little, like I don't know, a Chevette or whatever it was, Ford Escort. Um, so it was like I would say it was pretty rough, living with her too, because I always loved my dad. And I
Mm.
always wanted to, even though he was a drinker, I always wanted to be with my dad. Um, so one day we were staying in like a hotel, um, and me and my younger brother Skip, he, me and him are real close. So I'm like, hey, mom's sleeping. We'll leave my younger brother John at the hotel and we'll ride our bikes. I think it was like a 2-hour ride to where my dad was.
Mm.
That that we rode our bikes and we ended up making it.
Oh, jeez.
So of course my mother threw a big fit, but um we ended up staying with my dad, who was living with my older brother at the time. So I would always get up in the morning and make him his coffee because, like I said, he was older. He was probably in his 70s at this time. Um, but after the first cup of coffee, the next cup, I would mix half of it with vodka and half with coffee. And this is like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're up watching the news.
Mm.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, That's how. But he, like I said, I always thought he was a functioning alcoholic because
Mm.
I don't know, he would always be okay if you ask me. Um, but we ended up moving to this town called Bitterford, and I call it Trouble Town because that's where I got into all my trouble. Um, I started hanging out with a bunch of these kids and um, getting arrested for stupid stuff, and um, then I met this kid, and he had this stuff called ecstasy,
Mhm.
and I took one, and I mean, I felt like Superman, you know. Um, and so I would go to the bar, and I would find the kid, and instead of buying one, I would buy like 10 of them because I'm like, I know one's gonna run out shortly, so I'm gonna have to take another one. So by the end of the night, I would take all 10 of them.
Oof.
And
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, I'd be crazy like on 10 of them. Um, I remember leaving the bar one night, and the police stopped me. There was somebody breaking in the cars. It wasn't me, but in my mind, I'm all messed up and thinking it's me,
Maybe.
and they looked at the picture, and it wasn't me, it was somebody else. But that's pretty much where my drug addiction started. I
How
was
old were you?
probably
How old were you
20,
then? 20?
20, 20, 19, 20.
Mm.
Okay.
Um, but then I stopped probably, I don't know, for a year, 2 years maybe. I uh I met this girl in the club, and I ended up getting her pregnant, and her dad was like old school from New York, Staten Island, New York, and he's like, "Well, now you have to marry her because you got her pregnant." And so we ended up getting married, and I just couldn't stop partying. We had my daughter, which I'm grateful for. She is such a wonderful person. Um, but I'll talk about her later. And so I kept going to the bars and drinking, and so finally we ended up getting a divorce, and uh, I started. This kid introduced me to Percocet, um, which back then it didn't seem like much, but it was like the beginning of a train wreck. Um, but that little pill, um, I would I would do like, I don't know, three a day. I mean, maybe I think it was like 15 milligrams a day back then. But that was enough to make me feel good, you know. Um, but then as it progressed, and I was trying to do like, I don't remember how many a day, but it was quite a bit, probably 10 or 15 a day to function.
Yeah. So what
Um,
that addictive personality, when it like with anything with addiction, if one's great, then
Two's
five's
better.
better.
Mm.
So
yeah,
so it's the
and
same with you here.
I was like, I want it all. I don't want one. I want it all, you know. Um, so I was doing perks and bites for oh, I don't know how long, probably 3 years or so. Um, and then they came out with the Oxycontin,
Mhm.
which was even stronger. Um, so I started to do like a half of an Oxycontin, probably a 20 milligram. Um, so it just it just kept progressing, and eventually I was doing like 2 or 3 80s a day. That's how bad I was into doing pills.
Mhm.
Um, but then they found out everybody was sniffing them, so what they did was
Mhm.
they turned them into like a gel. Like they put something in the pill that people couldn't sniff them. Um, so people were trying to like. I remember putting them in the microwave, and
Mhm.
uh, just my addictive behavior. Everybody was like, "Oh, try this," and you can melt them down in the microwave, and I mean, they tried everything to get them to snort them. You know.
Yeah, because what
Uh,
would happen, Jim, is like you said, they would do these things. So then the pharmaceutical companies would they develop a coating that you put on 'em so you couldn't break them up to snort them, like you just said. So yeah, but then you would find someone who'd try to find a way around that.
Yeah.
And it just
yeah,
and Donald, you just nailed it too when you said the addictive personality will make you do such things that you utterly think that there's no way someone would do that. When you want something bad enough, as you just
Mhm.
said, as you just described, it happens, man. It went from a half a pill to 10, 15 pills and just progressed. So, here this is progressing with that. So you went from ecstasy to the Percocet to the Oxycontin. So now where are we going?
yeah. So I mean, and through all this, I'm working during the day. Like, I mean, most of the time I always kept a job. Like, how I don't know, but most of the time I'd be working for family, and I don't know. I mean, they knew, like, but I was such a hard worker that they just let me work, I guess. I don't know. Um, but then they came out with the um oxycodone, which is like a little small blue pill. It's like a 30 milligram pill. Um, so I met this girl who was selling them, and I would be working on the road, like up in northern Maine, and she would come up and bring me some pills. So after I got home, I ended up going and meeting her, and she ended up becoming my second wife. Um, so I was buying pills off her, but like I said, she ended up becoming my second wife, and um, we ended up starting to deal them. So we would sell so many that way we could do ours for free, you know. Um, but I was getting them off. I was probably the number one oxycodone dealer in Southern Maine at the time.
Mm.
I mean, I was probably having at least probably 100 people at my house a day picking up pills.
Whoa.
Man.
That
And you
Yeah,
said it was a small town too, so I mean, you were quite the entrepreneur, huh?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we were buying prescriptions from, I was having people call me like, "Hey, can you sell my prescription?" or "Can you sell this?" And I would always say, "Yeah," because like I said, the more we sold, the more we got to do for free. So,
Exactly. And you know what, Dallas, we try to justify it. Well, it's not so bad because I'm not a drug addict because I'm not paying for it. What? But in a addict's mind, we'll do stuff and say stuff like that. So, that's just that frame of thinking. So here you've got so much money coming in. So hey, I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm working.
yeah. And I was working. I was still working while my wife at the time was getting rid of the pills while I was at work. And I would take enough to get me through the day, and that way I wouldn't run out and be sick. Um, but I ended up um meeting up with this kid who knew this kid out of state. I think he was from New Jersey or somewhere. He was writing prescription pads. I don't know I never got the whole story, but supposedly he stole a doctor's prescription pad from the
Mhm.
doctors, and he was looking for people to put their names on the prescription. So the kid told us that he would give us so many for free if we put our name on the prescription and took it to the pharmacy and cashed it in. So, of course, being the drug addict that we were, we both said yes. We didn't think anything would come about it. Um, about, I would say, a year or a little less, the the feds came knocking at our door
Mm.
and arrested both of us for the prescription. So they got me for conspiracy to distribute oxycodone. Um, so I ended up doing some time in Portland, almost a year in county jail up here in Portland. And then they shipped me off to a federal prison in Massachusetts, um, which I did quite a bit of time down there. Um, so I got out. I was on federal probation for 3 years. Um, so I lived at my nephew's house, who I was working for. Um, I did good till I got off probation. Um, so they let me off probation like a year early because I was doing so good. So then I ended up going back to Biddeford, and I ran into this girl that I knew, and she she introduced me to heroin.
Mhm.
And so from like the first time I tried it, I don't know. It was like, I don't know, it made me feel super good, like I don't know, Superman or something. Um but I ended up going back to my nephew's. I had done heroin, I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to remember, but I'm skipping around here a little bit.
You're doing fine.
That's okay.
I did heroin probably for like a year, probably like, I don't know, a gram a day. It wasn't really a lot. But I was staying with my nephew and I ended up getting messed up one night and somehow I ended up standing. He found me, I was standing on his counter, pretty much almost naked and kind of like comatose. So he called the ambulance, and he told me not to come back there, which kind of broke my heart. But I ended up going to my niece's house, who has been with me like through thick and thin. Like we've been through a lot, and I'm like, I need to go to detox. Like, so she helped me. We got into Milestone. I went to Milestone for 7 days. And then I ended up, they had this place called Serenity House, was a 6-month rehab. I ended up graduating the rehab. And I did good for like another year. Then I had my son. This was probably, oh, he's 18 almost now, so about 18 years ago. I ended up getting high one night and getting a fight with his mother, and the cops came. I got arrested for domestic violence, and my sister-in-law, who was a DHS worker, her and my sisters went to DHS, which DHS is like child service, protective custody, whatever you want to call it. And took custody of my son, which was a little baby at the time. I ended up staying in jail, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and then they threw all the charges out after I spent that much time in jail. But I continued to get high, defying DHS and doing what they wanted to do, and the clean drug test, and eventually my brother came and picked me up, said, "Hey, come over, we're gonna have a cookout." So I was like, all right, I was probably feeling good at the time. And so I got there and I walk around the corner on the deck, and my whole family is on the deck. And I'm like, what's going on? And my brother's like, sit down, we're going to have a talk.
Oh.
Intervention
But
time.
it was intervention time.
Wow.
So they all spoke their mind, and I ended up going to another rehab that I think that was 3-month rehab. But then I got out of there, and like I said, every time I would go to rehab or detox, like I would always do good for a few years. So like I would put some time together and like mess up again. Like every time I would count my clean time, like, oh, I got 2 years clean, I would end up go and use again. Like this time,
It's like, let's
I'm not-
celebrate.
I
I'm
know.
clean. Let's go get fucked up.
Yeah, like this time, I don't count my clean time this year. Also, I say
Yeah.
I got multiple years,
God bless
you
you,
know.
man.
But like I said, every time I would be like, okay, I got 364 days clean. Let's go party, you know. Um, but no, I got out of rehab that time, and so I ended up giving my son up for adoption. But I gave him up to my brother and his wife.
Okay.
So he didn't go to like someone that he didn't know.
Mhm.
But they took care of him, and um I just want to say he is graduating in May, and I will be there. I'll be there. I'll be in Florida to watch him graduate.
Congratulations.
No, I couldn't be no more proud of him. But anyway, um, so I would like towards the end of it, I was like driving to like Massachusetts, which is like 2 hours from here, to pick up my stuff because everybody was like, "Oh, it's always better, it's always cheaper," and um, but I was probably towards the end of it, I was probably spending, I would say, 300 to 400 a day on heroin, which, yeah, I know it's a lot, but
So Donald, this was after the intervention, right?
yeah, yeah. I know I was kind of bouncing around,
No,
but
you're good. You're good,
uh,
brother.
yeah. So I would like I would share straws with people. I wasn't a needle person because I don't like needles, to be honest. I'm like a baby with needles, but um I would share straws and dollars, and um so I was working at Cumberland Farms up the road here one night, and I had done so much heroin, there was nobody around, that I had passed out at the counter. And luckily, a customer came in because I had OD'd behind the counter, and they took me to the hospital, and they were like, "Oh, you're lucky to be alive," and I mean, so the next day, my fiance Tammy, who luckily, thank God, she's stayed with me as long as she has, but as much as I put her through, um, but so she was reading the paperwork, and somehow I had contracted hepatitis C. I would say it's through sharing straws or bills or something with somebody. Um, so she was kind of mad about that, but I ended up getting medication and um got it cleared up. But um I always had like a backup plan, like if like I didn't have anything like to wake up to, like if I knew I was going to be sick, I would always have like a friend of mine or somebody close that I'd be like, "Hey, I need to meet you," or it was always on like a speed dial kind of thing. and I spent so much money that like they would like kind of like cater to me. So, um, but um, addiction has like dragged me through the ringer like bad. I mean, I was sleeping on people's couches, uh, sleeping in vehicles at night, parked on the side of a road. Um, I mean, like I said, now I'm multiple years clean. I'm not gonna say how
Don't
much,
say the
but
days. Don't say 'em,
um,
brother.
but no, I mean, I could say now my life like hasn't been it couldn't be any better now, you
All
know?
right. All right.
Like I've been in the same place for I don't know, 7 years now. Um I bought my wife a new car, my fiance a new car last fall, and I just bought myself my first ever brand new pickup. It's not here yet, but I ordered it. Um, you know, so much. I talk to my family now, like I'll get a text like 4:35 in the morning, be like, "Are you awake yet?" or "You coming to work today?" Or, they're always looking out for me. Um,
Nice. Nice.
but
That's awesome, Joe. I tell you what, Donald, that's just family, is as addicts, we say and do terrible things. And a lot of times we don't remember until after the fact. And we look at addiction as well. I'm doing it to myself, but then when we do recover and we look at our past and the things that we've said, the things that we've done, and and as we know in our lives, man, there's some bridges that can't be mended, that can't be repaired, and but for our family and friends who are here, as you said, with your fiance, I mean, you talk about special people. They talk about how strong we are as people dealing with addiction to recover. And believe me, we are. We are badasses. We are heroes. But for our family and friends who have been by our sides from day one through thick and thin and are still here, they are the heroes, man, because they've seen us at our absolutely worst and now at our best. And like for you, when you were talking about buying the car for your fiance, and then when you're talking about being in your place for over 7 years, and then when you're talking about your family, your new vehicle, you were shining, and it was such a great thing to see that smile on your face. And as I always like to say for myself, is until I owned it, it owned me, and it being whatever it is, drugs, alcohol, heroin, fentanyl, meth, whatever it is, until you own it, it owns you, man. And man, I'm so happy for you.
yeah, and this last time, like one day I woke up and I was like, enough's enough, you know? So I called the detox and I'm like, I need to get in now, like now, which the detox like 2.5 hours away. And they're like, well, how fast can you get here? I'm like, as fast as I can, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
So I was going to drive myself up, and Tammy, my fiance, was like, no, no, we'll drive you up. So her and my daughter drove me up, and and that was probably the best thing I ever did, was check myself in. And um like I said, my son's graduating high school in 2 months, and I'm gonna be there to see it. I mean, I could be living in 6 feet underground, And, so many times I could have been there, like Tammy says, like when you're dead, that's it. You don't get to come back, you know. But no, I'm certainly glad I'm alive today. I remember I just want to say one time I had this girlfriend, we were doing heroin together, and this is another reason why Maine passed this law that if you're using with someone and you call the cops and you don't get into trouble. So she ended up, I was overdosing and she ended up throwing me out of the car at the ER and left me outside of the ER and till someone found me outside in the emergency room, little road there. And I woke up like 3 days later, which I thought was the same day, and it wasn't. I had gone into like a mini coma for 3 days. But like I said, Maine now has this law that it's called the Good Samaritan Law. I think it was the first state to ever pass the law. Don't quote me on it, but I think it is. That if someone's in trouble from using or they've fallen out from using, you can call 911 and not get arrested, which I know people are afraid to call 911, but if you're going to save your friend, then pick up the phone and call 911.
By all means, man. By all means. I tell you, Donald, you've
been through it.
It is, we see your in the past year, ever since you've been part of My Fight or War, we see you on here with your posts. As soon as we see your name, I mean, it just makes for a happier time because we always know you've got words of support and love for people, and I just don't want. And by the way, a certain individual that I know very well, my brother Skylar Ray, has noticed something that you're wearing. So that, God bless you, man. We got to get you some My Fight Our War gear, so we'll work on getting you something. But and we'll get you something. And but Skylar was on here earlier, and he popped on and said, "Great job." So Skylar's proud of you. You've got so much loving going on here. I was popping them on the screen here. But after the show, please make sure you go through the comments, because I mean, you've got people from everywhere. My sister Lori in Athens, Alabama, you've got her in tears. She said, here it is. What a proud moment. You will be there for your son.
Yep.
You're Sean Brown.
That's
awesome.
my nephew.
Sean Brown's on here. Awesome job. Sandy Witkowski. And of course, Jim Downs. Great job, bro. That's from Jim himself. Who else we got here? Mitzi Taylor. Okay. There's Jim.
Peter Weber.
Peter Weber.
Peter Weber.
I said Sean.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of love going on here for you. A lot of support. But that's one thing this family does.
Randy Powers, Jake Downs,
Kevin Herbert.
Kevin Herbert, all of these people have got such positive words of love and support. And Donald, that's because, I'm a firm believer, man, on you get what you give and you give what you get. And for a long time, man, I got nothing but hell and brimstone, man, because that's what I gave. In my past with the addiction and shit, I did not care. And to the point where, I mean, verbal, physical abuse, I didn't give a shit. I mean, man, you just punch that dude, or I mean, nothing mattered at that time in our lives. And that's addiction that just takes over our lives. And it's such a cold, empty. I don't know about you, but I've had some people that I've tried to describe addiction to, and to everyone, it's different. But for me, for someone who has no idea, I tell them, picture a deep, dark, black hole that keeps getting smaller and tighter and darker and scarier and just worse by the second, and then continues to keep doing that without ending. And then you'll get a glimpse of what it's like, and then get that worse as it goes on. But for you and everyone on here, it's just amazing with the love and support. Um, and it's a blessing for you. And I've always said too, Donald, is for all of us, like for all that you've gone through, and all of our amazing family members here who have gone through active addiction and now in recovery, no one would blame us if you just focused on Donald, you, your fiance, and your family, and that's it. But that's not what we do. Once we get to where we are now, where you are now, what do? You're on the board of a committee helping people. And that's what we do. Everyone on here, Kalisha, my sister Kalisha, Tommy, Lori, Jim, everyone I just mentioned, and everyone else who I haven't mentioned who's part of this family. We are a family that's united here. We love with the love, support, and motivation, and like your family, that kick in the ass when needed. But I just want to tell you how proud we are of you, brother. So proud of you, man.
Is Tammy Dumont your Tammy?
Yeah. She does a lot with the.
There she is.
She's saying hello and sending you love.
There
baby.
she is.
You'll find her. She's usually Friday night cooking in the kitchen, and usually Saturday I'll finish it up for. She does a thing for the unhoused people down here in Portland every Saturday.
Oh, sweet.
Rain, snow, they cook food. Sometimes it's pasta. Last week it was Thanksgiving dinner they cooked. Every Saturday she's there, so
Man,
wonderful.
so there's a lot going on in this house.
Donald, just watching you, man, right now, your smile, I love your smile, man, because you could just, as you know, I had a guy when I first started doing shows, telling me he didn't believe that I just started doing them, and he's like, he thought I'd been doing this a long time, and he's like, well, some people have to learn their speaking and their facial expressions and this and that, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, well, for your emotions, everyone knows exactly how you feel. I'm like, well, no shit. But when you were going through everything that you went through personally and family and all that, you could just see the heartache and remorse. And that's what we all feel. So we can relate to what you're going through, man. But then when it started coming through to the end, the new car for your fiance, your vehicle, your home, the dinners on Saturday, your son's graduation. It's such a beautiful thing, and we are so happy to be part of this with you. And let's see what else we got going on here.
And the dogs. How many dogs you got?
Dogs?
Yeah, he's got dogs.
I got 2 dogs. One, his name is Chad. He's like a black lab kind of mix. He's my emotional support dog. He's actually registered in the state for my emotional. He kind of keeps me sober. He's been with me since I got sober.
Okay.
I was looking at pictures the other day. I got him when he was 10 weeks old. He was probably, I don't know, 15 pounds maybe, riding in the front seat of my pickup. And now he's 80 pounds and still rides in the front seat of my pickup.
I tell Donald, we have got people that are chiming in. Jacqueline, our sweetheart family member, Jacqueline says, your smile is contagious. And then Lori, my sister Lori, says, as he told his story, he blossomed from death to life.
Yep.
And here it is from Jacqueline. A true test turned into a beautiful testimony.
Oh, yeah.
So true. But
Thank you, everybody.
man, we are so proud of you, man. And like I said, even before we went live, that you make a difference. I mean, I can't stress enough to everybody when I say how our words do matter. What we have to say really does matter. And by you, before you even came on today, I told you that you were getting a lot of positive feedback from people just from your post of encouragement to other family members
Mhm.
before you came on tonight. In the past couple of weeks, people were saying, "Hey, Donald is an inspiration. Thank you for supporting us." And and it goes full circle, man. And we're definitely looking forward to, like I said, if we can work things out, I would love to be part of your event, your Black Balloon event. We'll work on that. But again, man, it's just been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and I mean, people can message me or whatever. I can even put my phone number out there because that's what we do. I mean, I'm always down to helping, and um, I'm I'm always doing something to help somebody, especially up here. If someone needs a ride, I give them a ride, or whatever it is.
And
Um,
your group is called Recover Together, correct?
yes, yeah,
And they can
Facebook.
find
Yeah,
thank you. I
on
was gonna say, where can
Facebook.
they
Yeah,
find it? Okay,
So
great.
please check
yeah.
out Donald Recover Together. Go to his page, join up, become part of Recover Together. And again, you heard the man, the myth, the legend himself. Go to his page. Go to Donald Blow. Go to his page. Jump on there with him. Send him a friend request. Become part of this extended family. And
The family's growing. I love it.
let's
It's
you know,
growing.
I keep saying it and I'll never stop. Addiction is only a word. Addiction is not a death sentence. We're all living proof. And united together, the love, support, and motivation that
Mhm.
we all have, we'll never lose. We'll never lose. And but again, my brother, I tell you, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on. Do you have anything else before we let you go that you would like to end with?
I would just say don't ever give up. I mean, keep going no matter what.
Well, we
That's my
appreciate that. And I'm so happy for you. In a couple of months, you're going to be heading to Florida. So if you just please give your son a big hug. Tell him it's from all of us at My Fight Our War. And to your fiance Tammy, God bless you and your whole family, and for the intervention and for never giving up. And that's one thing I want to say is I had a person one time say, at the end of the interview, he said the one thing he wanted to stress to people is never stop trying.
Mhm.
If it's you, never stop trying. If it's a loved one, never stop trying. Well, if they say, well, we already tried that, try it again. But we tried it already. Keep trying until
Mhm.
it works, just like you said. So, sir, Donald Blow, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on. We'll be popping you on again, and you can come on. As you may know, I have a tendency to go live all the time, whenever, wherever, it doesn't matter.
True.
So, if you happen to get a message, it might be me just popping on to say, "Hey, you want to go live?" So, you take care. All the best to you and everyone in Maine. We love you, and we'll be talking to you.
Thank you.
Have a
Okay.
good night.
Take care,
Thanks.
brother.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Man,
What a
what
nice
a
story.
great guy.
Mhm.
What a great guy. I tell you what, I guess I mean he just makes you smile. He just makes you smile. And Jacqueline and people put it the best. He's just, that smile is
You
just
can see his
contagious.
beams,
You
when
can just see the pride.
he's happy now.
And that's in all of us, every one
Mhm.
of you, all of us here. And it's such a great feeling to look in that mirror and just
Look at a warrior.
it's okay. Like I've said, it's not being narcissistic. It's not being, anything like that. And to all the comments out there, every one of you, man,
So nice.
love you guys so much. Kalisha, Jim, and please don't forget tomorrow night at exactly promptly 7 p.m. ish Eastern time. The one and only Jim Downs is going to be the guest on here.
That's
And
right.
all I can say, folks, is hold on.
Yeah.
Me and Jim are going to blow the roof off.
Woo.
We are going to be talking Rock Ministries. We're going to be talking Project 300. We're going to be talking Athens,
Recovery.
Alabama with
Yeah.
Lori.
That's all right.
And we're going to be jumping on that stage, and we're going to have My Fight, Our War screaming, waking that place up. We're going to have Project 300 and that Hummer just lighting it up. We're going to have Jim Downs doing his thing. And it's just
Feel the love.
The
It's
love
coming.
and support and motivation. Addiction doesn't have a chance.
Mm-mm.
We're coming. And it's just one of those things where us, these family people don't ever give addiction undue credit. Don't ever get too much power. Think, I don't know if I can beat this.
Yeah.
We will beat it. We have beaten it. We're here. The people who are reaching up, grab that hand. Let them know they're not alone.
Mhm.
Don't judge people. Don't sit there and, oh, well, no. Just squeeze them a little tighter. Hold on a little more. They try to get away from you. Just, show them that we're not alone, man. They are not alone. We've been where you are. We know that addiction, I say it and say it and say it. In fact, my brother Skylar Ray used it for one of his reels. Addiction is not a death sentence. If it was, I wouldn't be here. And addiction's only a word. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here, because 5 years ago, I laid in that hospital bed. 5 years ago, I had two specialists come into my room, wake me up, and told me that I was going to be dead in less than 6 weeks. I had to call my mom. I had to call my loved ones, have them come into the hospital. When they got there, I had to look them in the eyes, and I had to say goodbye to my family. I had to say goodbye to my mother, tell her I was going to be dead, tell goodbye to my loved ones, my aunts, my family members, because of organ failure. My mom didn't even blink. The rest of the family, they were crying, hugging me, holding me. My mom didn't even face her, because she said, it's not up to them. It's up to God when it's your time. And I said, Ma, you don't understand. This is it. My organs have completely shut down. You don't come back.
Yeah.
Hospice is taking over my care to take me home. They're here now. No, she didn't hear anything of it. Well, long story short, 7 days passed. They came in taking my blood to transfer all of the information to hospice. So when they did the lab works, obviously there was going to be nothing, because my organs stopped functioning.
Yeah.
However, they noticed movement in the numbers for my lab work for my kidneys, pancreas, and liver, which cannot happen. So they redrew, thinking it was a bad draw. They did it 4 hours later, and then another 4 hours later, and they kept me 1 day, 2 days. They kept me for 7 days. Every time they came to draw blood, they had more people. Every time they came in, every day, more and more people. The 7th day, my room was full of doctors, full of nurses, full of specialists, including the 2 specialists that said I was going to be dead in 6 weeks. Standing at the foot of my bed, he leans over, grabs my ankle, and starts smiling and laughing at me. Well, in the nice controlled manner that I always show and express, I said, you evil fucking prick. You're sending me home to die, and you're laughing at me. Well, his associate starts crying. She sits down on my bed and says, we're sending you home, but not to die. We're sending you home to live. The reason all these people are here, and we've been keep doing this blood work, is we transferred your records over, but your labs showed actual movement in your organs, which we knew had to be wrong since they were shut down. Every time they drew my blood, there was more significant movement. By the 7th day, my kidneys, pancreas, and liver were all functioning at normal rate, normal. All my labs were 100% normal. To this day, I'm sitting here right now. I'm not on any medication for anything like that. I'm on blood pressure medicine, but so again, addiction's only a word. They told me I'd be dead. I'm still here. I get to bother all of you. And so
Frequently, every day.
now you guys are stuck with me. So I love you guys. And
And remind that Jim says, tell everyone tomorrow night.
yes,
Don't forget
tomorrow night, me and Jim Downs, and we are going to tear this up. And please, 7 p.m. ish. Do not be late, because I promise you I will be. Me and Jim will do our debut at 7 p.m. ish.
And then Wednesday, of course.
And Wednesday, of course, with my brother Skylar Ray. And then it's going to be a wild couple weeks, because we are off to our studio in New York. We're going to be gone for a few days, come back next week, and we're only back for 4 days. And then we're flying off to Portland, Oregon, with me, my brother Skylar Ray. We're going to be in an undisclosed location for about 4 or 5 days at Jim Downs ish. You got it, sir. We like to make an entrance, and boy, are we going to make an entrance tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it, Jim. And thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your post tonight, Jim, along with everybody else. And please, tomorrow night, let's tear it up. Let's open up, let's open the skies, man. Let's make some noise. Let's let Addiction know that we're in charge.
That's right.
So you guys have a great night. I love you guys. And as you know, keep fighting the good fight.
Night now.